department right now. We got some new suspension we're trying out. Some of my friends over in Germany have a suspension called Wilbers Suspension. It's front springs and rear shocks. So we're throwing it on one of our 2020 Street Glide specials, and we're gonna check it out. So let's head back right now and see what we got. So this is the stuff. We've got the rear shocks. We've got springs for the front and oil as well. Fork oil. I'm actually excited to check this out. I think it's going to be really good. Oh guys, we have Steve here, Battle of the Kings world champion, part of the team.
What do you got going on today?
Well, today we have a suspension build. We're trying out this suspension, Wilbers performance suspension.
Oh, nice.
From Germany.
Oh, nice.
So let's see how it goes.
Germany. Shout out to Germany, Battle of the Kings. Good people.
That's right. We got our best tech Tony on it. So.
Tony, are you reading?
Tony actually
we always read.
Tony's actually having to read the instructions. Like this doesn't happen very often.
I'm flipping to page 2.
There's pictures in there?
Flipping to page 2.
There's pictures. Okay.
Yeah. Are there pictures in a sample?
All right, guys. So we're gonna be checking out and testing the Wilbur suspension. We got Stefan here from Germany. We're always here at Laidlaw's, always looking for the very best suspension and searching for that perfect ride comfort. And so I had one of my YouTube subscribers come out here. He has a CVO Road Glide, and he said, "Hey Matt, I have Wilbur suspension. You gotta try it." And I said, "Cool, never heard of it, but let's try it out." So we got a set. Yesterday we had Tony install it. Tony, talk a little bit about exactly what you installed and I guess the components of the kit.
All right, so basically in the kit came with some front end springs, some 10 weight fluid, some special fluid that they use, and some rear shocks. So yesterday I took it down, pulled the caps, put the new springs in, filled the fluid level to their specific fluid measurements, put that back together, and then put the rear shocks on with, and then having to set a sag adjustment per rider weight, which is really basic. Take a base measurement from like a standard point to middle of the shock with no weight on it, bike up, rear end up in the air, take that measurement, and they have a 20 millimeter sag with rider on, which comes out to about 3/4 of an inch. So we're gonna probably do that with Matt since he's gonna be riding it. The kit's pretty straightforward, pretty basic, but seems pretty interesting on how their suspension works. So kind of excited to see what it is.
So one of the things that Stefan asked me was he asked my weight and all that good stuff. And what they do is once you order it, it's customized per order. So the suspension and everything was set up for my weight. Maybe you can expound on that a little bit more, Stefan.
Yeah, it's custom made. You have to provide your weight with full riding gear, the weight of the possible passenger, and how much load you want to take in your bags. And as well, the percentage of how much you're riding single or two up or with weight, and if you're more an aggressive rider like Matt or a soft one like me. And out of these details, you get your set custom made. And the only thing that we are doing now is doing the final adjustment for the dedicated rider. And after that, no adjustment is necessary. That's one of the big advantages. I'm not working for the company, I'm just an enthusiast. Now installed on 4 bikes of my own and 3 of my friends, and it's just amazing. You don't need to put off the left bag again in order to adjust it, whether you're riding with a passenger or not. It just does this self-leveling by itself on the first maybe 100 yards of riding. And we get to this later on, but first we need to do the basic adjustment for every new rider, and then it should be without any worries for the future.
All right, so I'm going to sit on this, we're going to adjust the sag, and really important to have all my riding gear on, I'm told, so we're going to put the helmet on and everything. So, this is some precision stuff here, so.
Well, we are Germans, yeah, we're always a little bit not so funny sometimes. Okay, and now we already took the initial measurement, and now we have to get 3/4 of an inch sag.
We took an initial measurement that we marked on the tape measure. So now I'm just going to figure out his sag.
It needs to be a little bit
harder.
Stiffer, yeah.
So we're looking for 3/4 of an inch sag.
I got it.
So we're setting it 3/4 of an inch sag.
Yeah, and that's just necessary for the very first time when you get the suspension, and then it is okay. You don't need to adjust it anymore. The tool is provided with the set. And we have to do a little bit more of adjustment because I was just guessing Matt's weight, and
What would you guess my weight at?
or maybe I guessed the helmet a little bit too heavy or light.
Yeah, my only regret is that we're not doing this on my own personal bike. I'm thinking this is going to be good stuff. I'm always switching up suspension, again, questing after that perfect ride comfort. So I'm excited to try this out. I think it's going to be good.
I think it's perfect for the average rider, not for the high performance rider who wants to go into performance baggers, who wants to be seen. Everybody needs to see that he has the most expensive forks and shocks. Just for the average type of guy who wants to ride single up, two up, and
Retain the stock look.
retain the stock look, especially on the CVO, and have a better suspension than the stock one.
This is a demo bike here at our dealership. So I weigh about 210 pounds, probably about 215, 220 with gear on. So, if you're around that weight, then this is probably going to be optimized for you. Even if it's not optimized for you, you're still welcome to come down and try this out if you're interested in this suspension, to see if you're looking for a better ride comfort and you want to try this out, this would be a good bike to try out. When you told me that this was self-adjusting suspension, I kind of raised an eyebrow and said, how does that happen?
You got electronically.
Yeah, electronically, or this guy's BSing me or whatever. but tell us kind of mechanically how that actually works.
Well, actually, as I mentioned, I'm not working for the company and I'm not an engineer, but there are two different reservoirs within the left-hand shock, which you'll see in a close-up later on. And within those reservoirs, the gas pressure is changed, and therefore the stiffness of the shock is changed while you ride, and therefore it adapts for the different weight. Hopefully that was enough, and the German guys who designed it are not killing me for this bad explanation.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to try this thing out. We'll get some GoPro footage and I'll rip it down the freeway and take it over various terrain and see what we got. So I was definitely impressed by the Wilbur suspension. It was really good stuff, and I had high expectations, to be honest, going into it, and those expectations were met. Every time Stefan drops by the dealership, he always talks about the suspension and how it's the best thing that ever happened to a CVO Road Glide, and so I definitely wanted to try it, but the suspension definitely met my expectations. And just to clear up a couple things, I know a lot of you guys come to my channel seeking suspension advice, and you've watched a few of my videos in the past. And here's what I'll say. So there's really no substitute to buying a complete kit or complete system front and rear shocks. Now, I've reviewed a couple rear shocks on here, which are gonna give you dramatic improvements just by themselves, used in conjunction with the stock shocks, just because, in my opinion, the stock shocks that came out in the 2017 model year that show a dual bending valve system are pretty dang good. And you're gonna get really nice gains just off of a rear shock alone. And you know, a rear shock, you're gonna spend about between $700 and $900 for rear shocks. And this system, combining the rear suspension with the front fork, the springs in there, they're made for each other, they're designed for each other, and they're also custom built per your weight and per your order. So there's a couple of advantages there that, you know, just stock suspension doesn't have. When any manufacturer makes suspension for a bike, they have to make kind of a do-it-all where it's gonna be a decent ride comfort for anybody between, you know, 160 to 300 pounds. And it's kind of impossible to be great for all different weights within that spectrum. And so the advantage that the Wilbur suspension has is now you've got suspension that's custom tailored to your specific dimensions, and it's also a full kit. So this suspension runs a little over $1,400, and that includes, you know, everything I've shown in the kit here. So it's a little bit pricey, but it's kind of a good middle ground between just buying a rear shock and maybe going all in with, you know, redoing the entire fork tubes and just like a full set of front and rear suspension from a lot of the US manufacturers. So yeah, it definitely has its place. And like Stefan said earlier, if you're looking for a suspension setup that's going to just retain the stock look and profile of the bike, then the Wilbers is a nice way to go. Yes, if you go to like a performance bagger suspension where you go in like full Olin suspension, yes, that's going to be better. You're going to have more travel, you're going to have better lean angle, and you're going to be able to ride the bike a lot harder. But it's pretty price restrictive. You know, most people aren't going to spend $7,000-8,000 on full Olin suspension where they have like the big old inverted front end and all that good stuff. So this is a cost-effective solution for someone that wants to spend, you know, $500 or $600 more than just replacing the rear shocks. Of course, it's a little bit more involved because you have to drop the fork tubes and pull those out and change the springs. So a little bit more as far as labor is involved and a little bit more money as well. It's definitely proportionate dollars spent to increase comfort over just rear shocks alone. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Leave them in the comment section below. If I was able to help you out, like the video, and if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.